105.9 Academy FM.
The sound of Folkestone.
A large amount of attendance allowance is going unclaimed in Folkestone, according to Age UK. As a benefit for the over 65s, attendance allowance is designed for anybody that needs some form of assistance in their later years. With a form that is over 20 pages long, Age UK are trying to assist the older community and make sure they receive all the benefits they are entitled to. I asked Amanda French, Information and Advice Coordinator for Age UK, if she believed that attendance allowance was underclaimed in Folkestone's community.
Definitely underclaimed, yeah. Most of our job, probably 80% of our work is claiming benefits for the older people of Folkestone.
And why is it that attendance allowance is so underclaimed?
Personally, for experience, I don't think it's advertised enough. I know the occasional local magazines will do that, but from the Department of Work and Pensions, as a rule, I don't see that much advertising out there. And I think that's why it's not claimed.
I asked the Department of Work and Pensions whether they did enough to advertise attendance allowance so that people were aware of the benefits. They told me they did not believe there was a problem with people accessing the information, as there were a variety of different agencies to help advise the elderly with their benefit claims, including Age UK, along with advisors through the Department of Work and Pensions that will also help people complete the form. On the Direct.Gov website until recently, it described the entitlement to attendance allowance for being for a disability severe enough that you need someone to help look after you. Although further down the form it then stated even if you are not actually getting the help you need, you can still claim attendance allowance. Although this is now clearer on the website, was it previously misleading?
It is misleading on the form. Probably 70% of our applications are people that live on their own with no care coming in at all. So we wouldn't say to them if you can claim this benefit if you've got somebody looking after you. Definitely not. It's even if you live on your own, and even if you're in a care home, you can still claim it. If you're self-funding in a care home, you can claim attendance allowance.
And that would help to cover the cost of your care?
Definitely, yeah. If you're paying for your care.
People are eligible for disability living allowance from 6 months to 65 years of age. While attendance allowance is designed for people with a disability, either physical or mental, over the age of 65, there are differences between the two. Amanda explains the care and mobility component.
Disability living allowance has got a care and mobility component, which if you get the high rate mobility component, you get the Motability scheme where you can get a car, you don't have to pay for your car tax, etc. Attendance allowance hasn't got that component, so you're not entitled to the Motability scheme or car tax, which I feel personally is a bit unfair, because you have got lots of, especially because we're now living longer. Why shouldn't you have that entitlement and still drive, able to get a car after the age of 65, because you probably need it more so, personally, from the people that I see. You don't get that component with attendance allowance, and it probably does put people off, maybe.
And is it assuming that people after the age of 65 perhaps aren't driving, when although you could have problems walking, but actually you could still drive, and if you are having problems walking but can still drive, you need that service more, surely, to get to the shops and so on? Yeah,
definitely, especially when they're changing things with the parking in Folkestone. They're going to put more disability parking, which I've noticed myself in Folkestone. So, yeah, and things like that. I mean, they're entitled to a blue badge that they can park, but they can't have the Motability scheme to be able to get them around. And why shouldn't they?
Billions of pounds of benefits are going unclaimed each year, including up to 1.6 million people failing to claim up to £2.8 billion in pension credit over 2009-2010. Despite these figures, the Department of Work and Pensions told me they do not have figures for unclaimed attendance allowance and claim there is no evidence to support the theory that people are not claiming the benefit.
In Folkestone, are you regularly getting calls about attendance allowance and people perhaps unsure of whether they can get it, or are you having to inform people they're entitled to it when they've got no idea?
Probably a bit of both, really. I mean, when I first started 10 years ago, I had to get out there and advertise it, really, and do a few talks and let older people know that it's there. I think now, because of financial difficulties, with the recession and what have you, more older people are claiming the benefits. A lot of our people we go and see tell other people, their friends and family, I get this attendance allowance, perhaps I think your mum or dad or brother or sister may be able to get it too. So it's a bit of both, really, but we don't really advertise it itself, it's word of mouth, but like I said, we do the occasional talk around town about it.
And you have a lot of inquiries about attendance allowance. Are you having almost too many to be able to cope with here at Age UK?
Definitely, yeah. We're inundated with attendance allowance, which is only a good thing. I mean, obviously, there's only 2 of us working full-time to do those, and with all our other work that we do here anyway, we haven't got any volunteers in information and advice, which would be handy if we did have some volunteers. So, yeah, I mean, we could do it all day, attendance allowance, if we possibly could. If we can't keep up with the workload, we refer on to another organisation that can help us.
And do you think there's a lot of people that you see that are entitled to it, that aren't claiming it?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, if I could, I'd stop everybody that's walking around with a walking stick and say, oh, you get an attendance allowance, but obviously we can't do that. But it's just making people aware that if they are using a walking stick, they've obviously got a walking problem. And one of the questions on attendance allowance is, do you have difficulty walking? So we just say, claim it, give it a go.
And you're very busy here, not just with attendance allowance, but also the other benefits that people are entitled to in helping people fill out the forms. How many people roughly have you helped?
We do around, we're talking all benefits, that's housing benefit, council tax benefit, pension credit, attendance allowance, disability leave allowance, funeral expenses, all sorts of benefits are out there, and there's probably a lot of benefits that people haven't even heard of. We do around about 100 a month, and we raise we generate about £35,000 in 3 months in benefits in Folkestone.
That's a lot of money just for one area.
It is a lot of money, yeah. Over a year, we're talking well over £1 million a year we generate, just our sales of, Age UK Folkestone.
And there's still a lot in the area that are going unclaimed.
A lot, yeah. I think the best thing for people to do is just give us a call and we can do a 5-minute check to see what they're entitled to, and it makes a big difference to their lives.
The charity Age UK have a centre in Folkestone where they provide services alongside information and advice, including a bathing service, hearing aid maintenance, bingo, art classes and chiropody. I went to Age UK where I met Anne Berry, whose mother has started going to the centre. She told me why the services the charity provide in Folkestone are so important.
Old people can be very demanding of your time, and I mean that in the nicest sense. It's because they need a lot of help. They need companionship. They get very depressed sitting indoors in 4 walls with nobody to talk to. They need that stimulation of someone either going in or them going out. You can't imagine how lonely that can be on your own 24 hours a day, and there are thousands of people out there like that who we don't know. This facility here is so important because it stimulates them, and this is what the elderly need. It's depressing being on your own anyway for a length of time, not because you want to be on your own, but out of the necessity of being disabled in some way or not having anybody to help you. But I think more needs to be done. I'm not talking about this unit, but by the government and by the councils in the area that care for the elderly. More needs to be done. There's a lot of people out there that are very, very lonely.
So there's not enough support for the elderly in Folkestone's community?
I would say no, because there are a lot of people out there that we don't know about that need this help. They sit very quietly in their own homes, and their families lead very busy lives if they've got families. Their neighbours also probably work and also have their own problems and lead busy lives. So there is a lot of care needed out there. People just think they're an old person sitting in the house on their own, but they're so interesting to talk to, and they do need the outside help.
105.9 Academy FM.
The sound of Folkestone.